The last signal: the planet of Rilon was dying, smoke covered the skies. Cities burned. The ground cracked beneath falling structures. Explosions echoed through the valleys. The peaceful people of Rilon had no army left, no fleet in orbit, no hope. The invaders were called the Vaan. Ruthless. Cold. Machine-like. They didn't speak. They didn't take prisoners. They only destroyed. The Vaan had already turned 3 planets into wastelands. Now, Rilon was the 4th. From the last surviving mountain bunker, the leaders of Rilon activated their final option, a distress beacon. A single SOS, not aimed at any government. Not to the Galactic Council, but to one place, Earth. A risky move. Earth had vanished from most star maps. Some said they had turned inward. Others said they had become something else. But stories remained, stories of humans, Deathworlders, warriors who turned war into an art. The Rilon leaders knew it was a long shot, but they had nothing left to lose, hundreds of light years away. On Earth's outer defense station, a technician named Leo noticed a blinking red icon on his console. Emergency beacon, he said, coordinates. Asked his commander. Leo stared at the data. From Rilon. The commander frowned. We have no trade route with them. But it's bad, Leo added quietly. Real bad. The commander looked at the signal again. One message looped in. The background: this is Rilon Prime. We are under attack. Our forces are gone. Civilians dying. If Earth still listens, please help us. In orbit around Mars, Earth's High Command met within hours. The signal was played in full. Then silence. For a long time, no one spoke. Then the Admiral stood. His voice was low. We know the Vaan. We've studied their path. Another officer leaned forward. Do we respond? The Admiral nodded. Send the Iron Flame. And activate fire protocol. The room went cold. Fire protocol hadn't been used in a decade. It was only activated for one reason: total retaliation. The Iron Flame was no normal ship. It didn't carry diplomats or flags. It carried fire, thick armor, heavy cannons, plasma torpedoes, and a full team of Earth's elite ground units, Deathworlders trained to fight on the worst planets in the galaxy. They didn't just fight to win, they fought to end the enemy. On Rilon, the Vaan closed in on the last city. Civilians crowded in underground shelters. Parents held their children close. Elders wept quietly. The leaders watched the skies, still hoping, still praying, but no one came. Not yet. Then, the clouds split. Something roared in the sky. A bright light descended. At first, they feared it was another Vaan weapon, but it wasn't. It was Earth's warship, and it didn't slow down. It tore through the clouds like a falling star, glowing red and gold, engines shaking the sky. It landed with force, kicking up ash and debris. The Rilon people stared in shock. The Iron Flame had arrived. Inside the ship, Commander Ray secured his helmet. Around him, his team prepped weapons and gear. This world called us, he said. Then let's answer loud. The door opened, dust blew in, and the monsters Earth trained stepped out. They didn't march, they hunted. The first Vaan patrol vanished in silence. Then the second. The third didn't even get to scream. The fire Earth brought wasn't from the sky. It walked on 2 legs, and it did not stop. When the fire walked, the ground was shaking again, but this time, it wasn't the Vaan. The sound of Earth's heavy boots echoed through the broken city. Each step was loud, controlled. Each soldier moved like they were part of the land itself. The Rilon people had hidden underground for days. They had lost hope. Now, they slowly climbed out of shelters, blinking in the dust, eyes wide with fear and confusion. What they saw wasn't what they expected. The humans didn't look like heroes. Their armor was blackened. Their weapons were massive. Their faces were hard and quiet. Some had scars across their cheeks or necks. Some had strange symbols painted onto their chest plates, but they moved with calm, and where they walked, the Vaan died. Commander Ray led the team down the main road. Buildings had fallen on both sides. He stopped beside a half-crushed statue. He checked the map on his wrist display. Myra, flank left, he ordered. Derek, set mines at Sector 4. No one gets behind us. The team split off like they had done it 100 times before. They had. A patrol of Vaan came marching down the street, unaware. They walked like machines. No sound. No speech. Their armor Looked like metal bones, but before they could react, Myra dropped from a rooftop, silent, deadly. Her blade sliced through one Van's throat in one clean strike. Another tried to turn, too slow. A shot from Ray ended it before it could raise its weapon. The rest were taken out in seconds. No shouting. No pause, just fire. In a nearby ruined home, a small Relon boy watched through a crack in the wall. He clutched a wooden toy close to his chest. His mother had told him to stay quiet. But he couldn't look away. He had seen what the Van did. He had seen them destroy, burn, kill. Now he saw something different. A human soldier walked past his hiding spot, her weapon scanning the streets. She paused. The boy held his breath. She looked at the crack. Their eyes met. Then, slowly, she reached into her pouch and pulled out a food packet. She placed it on the ground near the door and walked away. Back at the old command bunker, the Relon leaders watched the feed from security drones. What are they doing? One asked. They are not defending, another replied. They are taking back the city. One of the younger officers looked up. They came for war. Not for talks. The oldest council member nodded slowly. Earth didn't send peacekeepers. They sent wolves. The Van were beginning to notice. Their signals were breaking. Patrols stopped checking in. Drones returned with footage of human soldiers moving like shadows, cutting down squads with speed and precision. Van command units tried to regroup, pulling their heaviest forces toward the central core, but it was already too late. The humans had planted charges around their supply lines, mines under their command posts, traps in the buildings they thought were safe. By nightfall, the Van lost half their force. Ray stood on a high tower as fire burned in the distance. He tapped his comm. Phase 2 complete. They are cornered. Good, Myra answered. Now we light the fuse. In orbit, Earth's command ship received confirmation. A single message was sent back to the galaxy. Engaged. No further support required. Simple, cold, deadly. On the ground, Relon children sat on rooftops, watching the night sky flicker with flashes of battle. One girl whispered, "Are they really human?" Her brother, older, answered quietly, "I think they are." What monsters are afraid of? Asterisk. Ashes and answers. The sun rose slowly over the ruins of Relon's capital. Its light touched broken towers, burnt-out streets, and shattered statues. For the first time in weeks, there were no Van patrols walking the roads, only smoke and silence, and humans. Commander Ray stood on top of a Van tank, now disabled and flipped onto its side. His armor was scratched. One of his arms was bleeding beneath the suit, but he didn't stop. He stared at the skyline like a predator tracking a wounded animal. Beside him, Myra crouched over a holo map. Van command core is deeper than we thought, she said. Heavily shielded. Auto turrets at every entrance. Multiple drone swarms on standby. Ray nodded. And still no sign of a retreat. They are not retreating, Myra replied. They are waiting to crush us all at once. He gave a faint smirk. Let them try. In an old Relon library turned shelter, civilians huddled in corners. Medics moved from one injured person to another. Supplies were running low, but for the first time, no one was crying. They were listening. Above, a transmission from Earth played through broken speakers. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even threatening. It was a voice, calm, steady. To the people of Relon, you are not forgotten. Earth has heard your cry. Hold the line, we will break theirs. One mother closed her eyes and whispered, they came. Meanwhile, in the last stronghold of the Van, alarms blared. A red warning flashed over every wall. Multiple outer defenses lost. Energy shields breached at 2 locations. Human forces approaching sector core. The Van commander slammed his hand onto a control panel. The humans are animals, he growled, but one of his advisors looked at the screen. No. They are not animals. They are storms. Back outside, Derek finished setting the last of the demolition charges along a fuel line. Done, he said, turning to his partner. Once this goes, their power grid collapses. Ready? The soldier asked. Derek looked up at the rising smoke, the quiet city, and the weight of 1,000 lives resting on them. Born ready. He pressed the trigger. The explosion rippled through the district, lighting the sky like fire from the stars. A chain reaction followed, sparks flew, towers fell, Van defenses shut down one by one. Inside their command bunker, screens blinked. Out. Lights failed. Systems went dead, they were blind. Ray and Myra moved with their team into the core. Every hallway was dark. The air smelled like metal, oil, and fear. Van defenders met them with rage, but it didn't help. The humans moved like water, fast, quiet, unstoppable. Bullets, blades, fire. Room by room, they cleared the base. At the end of a long hallway, Ray reached the command chamber. He kicked the doors open. There stood the Van commander, tall and armored, with glowing red eyes and a staff of command. "You don't belong here," the creature said. Ray lifted his rifle. "That's what everyone says until we do." The fight was short. The Van commander was strong. His blows cracked walls. His armor deflected bullets. But Ray didn't back down. He ducked, rolled, struck with precision. Myra joined in, firing at weak points. The others followed, using teamwork. Like a dance they had practiced 1,000 times. In the end, the Van commander fell hard. Hours later, the people of Relon walked their streets freely. Fires were out, children chased each other again, and in the city square, a flag was raised, not of Earth, but of Relon, still standing, still free, because someone had answered, not with words, not with speeches, but with fire. Earth does not wait high above Relon. Earth's command ship Vigilant Horizon floated in orbit like a silent mountain of steel. No lights flashed. No signals were broadcast. It was not there to speak. It was there to watch. Inside, General Lane reviewed the combat reports. The battle had gone well. Too well. She had seen what the Van could do, and this wasn't their final move. "They are testing us," she said. Her aide, a younger officer with nervous eyes, nodded. "Then what now?" The general closed the screen. "We strike first." Down below, Commander Ray and his team cleaned their weapons inside an abandoned Van facility. A Relon engineer worked nearby, trying to connect the remaining systems to the local grid. The engineer paused. "You saved us." Ray didn't look up. "Not yet." The engineer frowned. "But the Van are gone." Ray finally met his eyes. "Gone from this city. Not from this world." Back in the forest region outside Relon's capital, smoke rose again. Not from battle, but from ships, new ones. Van transports had landed in the night, quiet, fast, and filled with new soldiers. Larger. More armored. And this time, they brought something new, terraformers, machines designed to reshape the land into dead zones, making the planet unlivable for native life. Their goal wasn't to conquer anymore. It was to erase. In a small village northeast of the city, the Van began their work. Fields turned to black sand, water boiled in lakes, trees cracked and fell. The village elders sent out a weak signal. A simple message: "They are burning the sky." Earth received it within minutes. No debate. No delay. General Lane gave the order, "Send the hammer." On a ridge above the burning forest, Ray and his team arrived by dropship. The air was thick with poison. Ash floated in the wind. The sky was an ugly yellow. Ray looked through his scope. Van units patrolled the area, in heavy numbers. Around them, terraformers crawled like metal insects, spraying gas into the air and digging into the soil. "We can't let them finish," Myra said. "We won't." The team split into two units. Ray's squad moved right, targeting the gas sprayers. Myra's team moved left, toward the control cores. They moved fast through the blackened forest. Using broken trees and cracked rocks for cover, the Van were focused on their machines. Too focused. That was a mistake. Myra reached her target first. The control core was protected by a shield dome and 4 guards. She threw a small black disc into the clearing. A loud pop, then silence. The guards twitched, fell, and stopped moving. EMP. She sprinted forward, ripped open the panel, and planted explosives. "Core rigged," she said. Ray's team found the largest gas unit and disabled it manually. One soldier, Kalen, climbed on top and began slicing cables. Below, 2 Van troops saw him. They raised their weapons, but Derek, already waiting, fired twice. The Van dropped. All across the site, Earth's fire team attacked with brutal efficiency. The Van tried to regroup, but their machines were already failing. Sparks flew. Pressure tanks burst. 1 terraformer collapsed and crushed a squad beneath its metal legs. By nightfall, the entire operation burned. Only 1 terraformer remained, deeper in the mountains, too large, too armored. Ray looked at the data. "We need an orbital strike." The call went to Vigilant Horizon. The general didn't hesitate. "Fire the lance." From above the clouds, a spear of white-hot light fell from orbit. It hit the mountain like a god's judgment. The blast shook Relon. The last terraformer was no more. Later, the Relon gathered again in their capital square. Fires glowed in honor. Songs returned to the air. They didn't have weapons, but they had memory, and now they had hope, because when Earth answered, it wasn't with banners. It was with fire, and fire doesn't wait. What the galaxy saw. Word spread fast. Relon was still standing, the Van were not, and Earth, the silent, forgotten world on the edge of the galaxy, had responded with terrifying force. The Galactic Council received the reports. At first, they thought it was a mistake. Earth had not joined a council vote in over 10 cycles. Most assumed the humans had grown tired of politics, but now everyone was paying attention. They watched the videos, raw combat footage, leaked transmissions, security logs. They saw humans walk through fire. They saw Earth ships fall like thunder, and they saw what happened when a death world cared. In a grand chamber filled with delegates from 100 species, arguments erupted. They are too violent. They saved a world. They did it without permission. They did it because no one else did. Voices rose, anger grew, but one voice cut through. An old ambassador stood, eyes locked on the stars projected above. You all ignored the call. Earth did not. Now we must ask ourselves, if the Van come again, who would we rather face? Them? Or the monsters who stood for the weak? No one answered. Back on Relon, the cleanup had begun. The capital still bore scars. Streets had cracks. Buildings leaned. But life was returning. Children played where tanks once burned. The air no longer smelled of metal and fire. Ray and his team helped move supplies. They weren't used to staying long after battles, but the people of Relon asked them to stay just a little longer. They agreed. In a wide courtyard, a crowd had gathered. The Van were gone. But the memory remained. The Relon carved a stone wall, names of the lost etched in soft glowing script. Beside it, they placed something new, a human combat helmet, blackened and scratched. Below it, they wrote a short message in 3 languages. We called for help. The galaxy stayed silent. But Earth answered with fire. That night, under a clear sky, Myra sat alone beside a quiet pond near the edge of the city. Lights reflected in the water. Somewhere nearby, a musician played a slow, haunting melody. Ray walked over, carrying a flask. He sat beside her without a word. For a while, they listened to the wind. Finally, Myra said, "Think we'll ever stop doing this?" Ray took a sip. No. She looked at him. Why not? He shrugged. Because someone always needs help. And the others never come. She smiled faintly. So Earth sends fire. Every time. In deep space, the Van regrouped. What was left of them, their command fleet hovered near a dead moon, hiding from long-range scans. The High Warlord paced in silence. Their losses were heavy. Unexpected. Humiliating. How did Earth stop us? One officer asked. The Warlord paused. They didn't stop us. They punished us. He turned to his war council. We must strike again. Somewhere else. Somewhere weak. To show we are still the stronger force. A small world in Sector 9 was chosen. No army. No allies. A soft target, but Earth had already seen the pattern. They were waiting, inside Vigilant Horizon. General Lane stared at the map. New enemy movements. Van ships traveling light and fast. Her voice was calm. Send Ashstorm Squadron. No speeches. No contact. Just end it. Her officer saluted. Orders were sent. Engines ignited. Another fire was on its way, because Earth had changed, not into rulers, not into conquerors, but into something the stars could no longer ignore. A force that didn't ask for peace. It created it with fire. The second message far beyond Relon, in Sector 9, a soft blue planet spun in peace. It had no warships. No defensive satellites. No soldiers. Its people were artists, farmers, and scientists. They believed the galaxy had no more monsters until the sky turned black. The Van arrived. They came in silence. No warnings. No demands, only destruction. Towers burned. Rivers boiled. The capital fell within hours. The people of Polari 3 did the only thing they sent a message. It was small, quiet, and desperate. Please, if anyone can hear us. Earth. They didn't say more. They didn't need to. Earth command. The signal played once. That was enough. General Lane didn't hesitate. Ashstorm Squadron, divert to Polari 3. Full response. No mercy. One officer asked, should we send a warning? Lane didn't look away from the screen. Our fire is the warning. Onboard the lead warship Ashstorm 1, Commander Kira stood in the drop bay with her team. They checked weapons. Reviewed maps. Loaded charges. Point 1 Rookie adjusted his gloves nervously. Kira walked over. First drop. She asked, yes. You afraid? He hesitated. A little. She handed him a small coin. It was old, scratched, and clearly carried in many battles. What's this? He asked. My first drop coin, she said. Keep it. After this mission, give it to the next scared kid. He smiled, nodded, and stood straighter. The ramp lights turned green. Drop in 3, 2, 1. They fell. The Van were ready this time. They had turrets, mines, drones in every sector, but they weren't ready enough. The humans didn't attack the gates. They came from the air. The first strike came from orbit, precision rail blasts that turned Van command towers into dust. Then, Ashstorm hit the ground, hard, fast, silent. Commander Kira landed in the middle of the capital ruins. Her boots struck stone. Dust rose. Her rifle was already up. Her team spread out, each soldier a weapon wrapped in armor. They didn't ask for orders. They already knew what to do. In a school basement, Polari children huddled in silence. Point 1 Girl peeked through a crack and saw glowing blue lights in the smoke. She thought it was another Van patrol, but it wasn't. It was a human soldier, tall, covered in armor, moving with the grace of a shadow. He looked down, saw her, paused, then gently tapped his helmet, offering a silent nod. She smiled. The monsters had come again, but this time, they were her monsters. The battle didn't last long. The Van fought hard, but they lacked coordination. Earth's troops moved like wind, clearing buildings, disabling power grids, using terrain to their advantage. Point 1 Strike team disabled the main terraformer with only 2 charges. Another jammed the Van comms, leaving them blind. By nightfall, Polari 3 was free. Later, as the people emerged from hiding, they saw something strange. A human soldier was painting, not a wall, not a symbol, but a tree, one that had burned during the battle. He used black soot and crushed rock to shape the leaves. A Polari elder approached. Why do this? He asked. The soldier shrugged. Because it still stood. The signal Earth sent afterward wasn't long. Polari 3 is safe. The fire has moved on. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, another report landed, another world saved, another system defended, and again, Earth had not asked for anything in return. Only silence remained. Point 1 Ambassador finally stood. I believe we owe them more than thanks. Someone else whispered, what we owe is respect. In her command room, General Lane received a message. Another planet, another call. She closed her eyes for 1 second, then opened them. Set the course. Because in the darkness of the galaxy, Earth no longer waited. It listened, then it burned. Asterisk. Fire that stays. The war wasn't over, but something had changed. The Van, once feared across the stars, were now running. Their fleets moved in secret. Their attacks grew smaller, slower, less certain, because wherever they struck, Earth might follow. And Earth didn't warn. Earth burned. On Relon, the capital city had grown brighter. Buildings were rising from the rubble. Schools reopened. Music returned to the air, and in the middle of the city, a new structure stood. It wasn't a fortress. It was a tower made of black stone, lined with streaks of scorched steel, pieces taken from fallen Earthships and melted Van drones. At the top, a simple statue faced the stars, a human soldier, hand outstretched, rifle slung across his back, and flames carved into his boots. Beneath it, the plaque read, "We called for help." The galaxy waited. But Earth answered with fire. Commander Ray stood at the edge of the plaza, arms folded. He watched the Vora children run past, laughing. Myra walked up beside him, helmet tucked under her arm. They don't fear us anymore, she said. Ray nodded. They never should have. Myra smiled slightly. We are not monsters after all. No, Ray said. But the galaxy still thinks we are. She looked up at the tower. Let them. Back on Earth, General Lane stood in the war room. Reviewing the final reports, the message from Polari 3 had gone viral. Thousands of systems had seen it. Not just the rescue, but what came after, the rebuilding, the kindness, the truth. Point 1 Officer approached. Council sent a message. They want a formal meeting. Lane raised an eyebrow. After ignoring every call for help. They say they want to understand us now. The general stared at the glowing map. We didn't burn the galaxy to be understood. She paused, but let them come. Let them see what fire builds. Elsewhere in space, the last major Van fleet prepared for retreat. They had one more colony under attack. They had set their charges. Their weapons were ready, but as they moved in, something stopped them. A single Earth warship dropped from ftl.silent.still.it didn't open fire.it just hovered above the colony, its presence enough. The Van turned back, that world never fell. A week later, on a moon station orbiting an unclaimed system, a quiet meeting took place. Humans, council ambassadors, even former enemies. The topic was simple. Why? One council speaker finally asked. Why respond? Why throw away your ships, your soldiers, your peace, for worlds that never helped you? The human envoy stood up. He didn't speak with pride. He didn't raise his voice. He simply said, because once we cried for help too. No one came. So we became the ones who answer. And when we answer, we don't whisper. We bring fire. Back on Relon, a young girl stood near the edge of the rebuilt square. She held a small wooden figure, carved to look like a human soldier. Her brother sat beside her, looking up at the stars. Do you think they are still out there? She asked. Of course, he said, even if no one calls again. He smiled. They don't wait for calls anymore. They listen to silence. Because Earth changed, from a world others forgot, into the hand that reaches into darkness, into the shield that never drops, into the fire that never fades, the end. Asterisk.